Good evening, Tewksbury. It is now 6 o'clock. I call this meeting of the Tewksbury Board of Health to order. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and will be available for public viewing. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. So for the record, we have Luke present, myself, and why can't I think of names?
George.
Thank you, George. And with Susan and Chris absent, the quorum is present. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on August 15th, 2024. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I didn't have any.
No, I get them and I check them all.
Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
All right. Any second?
Yes, I second.
All right. It is moved and seconded to approve. Oh, yes. It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from August 15th, 2024. Okay. So next,
You have to vote.
yes, everyone. I'm sorry.
I made the motion, we seconded, so
Yes.
you have to vote.
If there's no further discussions, can we proceed to take a vote for the approval of minutes? Everyone in approval say aye.
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 Aye as well. Anyone opposed? I hear none. The motion passes. All in favor? I apologize. I have a little bit of a headache, so.
We're getting there.
All right, next on the agenda is new business with Addiction Awareness Month. So I believe we have Maria Ruggiero.
Yes.
Yes, so if you'd like to come up, just say your name and.
Hi, I am Maria Ruggiero. Let's not do that. Do you want my address too? Or just, what do you want me to put here?
You can state it.
So I appreciate you having me every year because it's such an important topic. We've been doing quite a lot. So I have some goodies for you as well. Couple things that we've been doing we really learned recently that one of the reasons and one of the highest risk factors that teens begin to use and continue to use is they don't feel included. They don't feel as though they belong. So we've done a couple of things to kind of help with that. The first thing is we got what we call pocket talks, and we've given 7 to the school system. And what a pocket talk is it's it looks about the size of a phone. It looks like an iPhone, actually. And it has 84 or 94 languages. I just don't remember the number. I want to say it's 94. And it continues to be updated. So instead of a parent or a child or a teacher having to use their phone or Google, they just talk right into this as a phone. So if, for example, if you're Spanish and I'm English, I can say it in English and it'll spit it out in Spanish, exact. And then you can say it in Spanish and it'll spit it back out in English. So, when we talk to people my age, a lot of us remember when we came here and we were Italian or we were Irish, and some of our folks didn't speak any English. And they did it by watching TV. And what we hear is just how lonely people felt. But, we did what we could and we handled it. But we were trying to give the kids a chance to make it. Could you imagine moving here from another country, whatever the attitude is, get in there, and now nobody can communicate with you? So we've given them 7. We're going to trial them to 7, and then if they need more, we're going to purchase more because it's really important. The prevention piece of it, we have learned a lot. We talk a lot about social emotional learning, and there's a lot of social emotional learning that people don't even understand which is social emotional learning. For example, just the pocket talk. That's social and emotional. If a child cannot feel socially connected, then their emotions cannot always be regulated. So what we're trying to do is find different ways to make that happen. So I'm working on actually 2 grants. So one grant is Winchester Hospital, and it was actually written by somebody else who left, and then when they left, it was such an important grant, I didn't want to not do it. So several people down, we've been working on it as hard as we can. So what Winchester Hospital is doing is it's trying to provide safe and welcoming spaces for the LGBTQ community.
Thank you.
So we're trying, a lot of things that we do, as you see in here, you have a flag, and we're just trying to put stuff like this up and around so that people just get used to seeing it. You know, it's hard when people, especially people my age, it's not something that we're used to, so it's not something we understand, and we get afraid of it. So what we're trying to do is just make it known, hey, we're a friendly community. So in here you have some of the things that we pass out, and it's not really a big deal. In summertime, we did the Pride picnic. We had the fans, which everybody loves. This is awesome. It's like a little a dance thing, and it's so cute. The kids loved it. And we're not making a big deal out of it, but it is the colors, and then some lanyards. Also in my folder here, I have the Winchester Hospital, which Tewksbury is one of the communities. Of my 7 communities, 2 of them are in the Winchester Hospital area. It's Tewksbury and Wilmington. So this is a community needs assessment. I'm hoping that everybody would take a few moments, especially because of the positions that you're in, and scan it, and it's confidential, and just tell them what you think the needs of the community are. I went to a meeting yesterday, and they hadn't had a lot of response yet. So they can't provide the funding and the money if they don't know exactly what the community wants. I can come in here all day long and say this is what I need or what they want, but they want to hear from the community. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to take a moment and scan that. The other thing that's in your folder is Winchester Hospital is providing, it's a meditation series. Again, it's a safe space. Everybody is welcome. We do not exclude anybody. And so that's a flyer here. We're going to wind up doing it for another year. I just got permission to keep it going for another year. So it'll be every Thursday, every Thursday, 3:30 to 4:30. She has a huge following, and a lot of people are attending. So we're going to continue to partner with the library. We did a lot of things over the summer with the library. We did 4 or 5 speakers that came in. So we continue to work with the library to make sure that people understand just because somebody is different from us does not mean that they're not a good person. You know, when we put the pride flags up and the announcements up, somebody came and took the signs off everywhere. That's unacceptable. So we're just trying to let people know, please, just let everybody, as long as they're kind and kind to you, then please let them be them and you be you. I know people say, that's not substance use. Yes, it is. It is prevention. Not only is it substance use prevention, because if somebody feels included and they have something else to do, they might be less likely to try something, and they're definitely going to be less likely to continue. I have kids tell me they don't like it, but they still do it because it's the only thing that makes them feel whole. That's a terrible thing to hear from a young kid. So what we're trying to do is just blanket the community with love and kindness so that people understand, you be kind, I be kind, and we just go along with our ways. On the other side, you're going to see that we have our 13th annual overdose. I now work for the town manager directly and for Shannon directly. So this is going to be on October 1st. Everybody is welcome. And then you also see on this side here, you have 2 kinds of coloring books. So when you go to a fair and or you go to one of these events that we have and you pass out stuff, a lot of times people don't want the information. You know, they throw it away. But what we're trying to do is teach kids that everybody is special. Again, be kind. Everyone has their own way. It's okay to be different as long as you're kind. But if you don't do something with the parents as well, a lot of times parents don't understand it. So we also have adult coloring books. Who knew that when I was in school and I was doodling and I was getting in trouble for doodling, that it was how I learned? Now we know these things. So as we learn these things, then we determine, okay, if we kind of help help people understand the importance of it and help people understand it's okay if you're paying attention if this is how you learn to do it. Because a lot of kids later in life will say, I just couldn't do it, I don't understand. And then years after years of going to treatment or years of being in recovery, then people realize what's happening. So that's why we're trying to make sure that everybody has that feeling. Something else that we've done, we just helped Tewksbury State Hospital become their own CNP, that just got the email today, their own CNP, which is a community Narcan provider. So they're going to be doing their own Narcan. They don't have to rely on us. They don't have to rely on us. They're going to get their own distribution, and that is wonderful. We put a Narcan box in the hallway downstairs. We have gone through over 200 kids since August. When I went in today, we had just put a box together that had probably 40 kits, and they're gone. So we're close to 250 that we've given out since August. That is how critical this is. So if you look in your kit, what you have in your kit is 2 doses of 4 milligram Narcan, and it's a little tough to fit. If you take, when you take it home, if you want to take it out of these packages, you can. The reason we do that is because in there is a lot of information that I'm going to say, and a lot of information that when we talk to people, they're going to forget. So we like to try to have them see it as many times as possible. And then in this kit, you have a face mask. And when we do the education, and it's a sterile face mask, when we do the education, we explain to people, you want to give them the Narcan, and you want to give them some rescue breaths. Now, if it's my child or my family member, I might not think about a mask, but if I'm at a fair and I don't know this person, I'm going to be concerned for myself. So this is a one-use face mask. It's sterile, so I don't want to open it. When you take it out of the container, it immediately tells you how to put it in their mouth, and it protects you. You can wrap it around their ears so that there's no slipping or anything, but now the person that's doing the rescuing is also protected, which is key. Also in here is a bunch of information. We have a fentanyl strip. Oh, good, the one I gave out, I didn't have a fentanyl strip in it. I just saw you using it. That's a fentanyl strip.
Yep.
That is, if somebody is using and somebody is working with them and trying to get them into recovery or just trying to keep them alive, to make sure that there isn't any fentanyl in what they're using. And then in here is responding to an overdose. It's also in Spanish. Both sides are in Spanish. It talks about how to stop an overdose. And when I go through the training, everything that I go through is in here as well. And then it's also in the little packet. So they've heard me say it, or whoever. They've heard us say it. They've seen it in the packet, and then they have it here. And then there's a helpline, because as we know, mental health and substance use disorder go hand in hand. So it's a helpline, and then also the other helpline. There's 2 series of helplines. The fact that we have given out over 200 kits just like this since August, I knew it was going to do well. I did not realize it was going to be that much. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I'm so proud to be able to work for a community, and a lot of communities are doing it, but I'm proud to work for a community that realizes that that's critical and it's important. It's right next to the shop container. It's, people don't have to be worried if they're coming in, because people are still afraid. I don't want people to know my son or my daughter, or people are still fearful. It's in a great spot. People don't have to ask for it, but then they have the option to call us and talk to us if they wish. If they don't, then we have enough in the kit that as long as you've looked at the kit, and it's so simple. I'll go through it very quickly. When you pull this out, it's so easy. All you do is hold your finger on that red thing. Now, I do Flonase every morning, so I always give it a test. You never want to give it a test because it's literally 4 milligrams, and that's it. It's so easy. You put it up their nose, you spray it. And then we explain to people how do they do rescue breaths, what they need to do if they have to leave, and it's going over very well. Someone just sent to me, and I haven't had a chance to read it, but I think it warrants importance to say, that the overdoses across the state has gone down. I think it was an NPR article that they sent me, that it's gone down over 20%. I don't know if that is true, because I haven't looked at the data myself, but NPR is usually pretty good. At the very least, I know that the overdoses are going down. And people have to be able to be alive in order to go into recovery. There are millions of people who are in recovery who have gotten through it. So we just have to wait until the people are ready. There's a very small window when someone is so sick. You know, if you had the worst cold or the worst flu in your life, and someone said, hey, if you took this, you're going to feel better instantly. That's how somebody who's trying to stop doing opiates feels. It feels like they're on death's door. And it's terrible. So to be able to give them that opportunity, it's a very small window when they wake up and they say, I can't do this to myself anymore. Well, we want to be ready there with information and services so that when they're ready, we have places to send them and things to do with love and no judgment. You know, it's very difficult when people are starting to judge other people, and I know it's hard. I'm Italian. I know it's hard, but people are people. And nobody ever grows up and says, hey, you know, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to become addicted to opiates, or I'm going to become an alcoholic. Nobody ever says that. It just happens. So for other things we're doing in Tewksbury, on the prevention side, we provided, Aperture is a software for the schools. We provided that for them this year. We're working on positive community norms. So across the board, we're trying to change what all the messages look like. So a positive community norm, and it's going to take years to change it. Instead of saying 30% of our kids are using alcohol or drink alcohol, we're saying 70% of our kids do not drink alcohol. And what we're starting to do is flip the narrative to the positive. So let's look at the positive. 78% of the kids are not doing it. Be one of the 78. So we're going to be running a campaign. We're going to be doing it in another community, definitely. And I'm hoping to be able to do it in Tewksbury. I'm going to be meeting with Brenda and Karen shortly to see if it's something that we can do across the board. And then the other thing, so much is going on. I know I'm going to leave here and I'm going to have forgotten something. But we're doing mindfulness trainings so that people have, you know, a lot of times kids will say, no one can just give me a break. I just need a break for a second. So even when I'm working with kids who have been in trouble and they're in front of me because they're in trouble, I say, let's do a minute or two of some chair yoga. If you're in class and you're feeling stressed, here's a couple exercises. And I do a couple exercises that they can do in their chair at school. It takes a minute to kind of calm themselves down. So along with, we can't forget about educating people on substances and educating people on the brain and educating people on why it's critical. But now we're trying to give them a bigger toolbox. What we're doing isn't going to be for everybody, but if we have enough in that toolbox, there's going to be something in there, hopefully, that is going to fit that person and that family. And then when there isn't, if they come to us and they say, hey, I could really use, then guess what? Then that's what I'm going to advocate for. So we have a lot going on. I work in 7 communities, but Tewksbury is really moving forward with everything, and I'm so proud and so happy for it.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, I have a comment. I watched some other towns' meetings, and I get frustrated because the people on the boards thank everybody that comes in to the degree of like, wait a minute, how come you're doing this all the time? It's like almost like a political thing, but I want to tell you, Maria, seriously, what you do every day, it matters to people so much.
Thank you.
And you have a gift that you can talk to people one-on-one and they totally can confide in you.
Thank you.
There's no money in the world for that. And as a leader, I just want you to know that I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words. I really do. Some days it's a little tough because you get pushback because people are afraid. People aren't pushing back because they're jerks. They're pushing back because they're afraid. They don't understand. And we don't understand something, even I get afraid. We all get afraid. We might not admit it, but we do. So you just have to keep working, and the work is important. And we're starting, I've been doing this a long time, and we're starting to see some differences. I'm seeing some differences in how the kids talk to us. It doesn't happen right away. You have to prove to them that, you know, if you say something to me, I say to the kids, you're already in trouble. You're already sitting here because you're in trouble, so let's just talk about it. And when I say, like, what'd you think of it? They're shocked. And it's just that whole different attitude. Instead of, bad, you're here, you're bad, you did something bad, let's talk about it. Why do you do it? What happened? Since we have to sit here for an hour or two, or whatever the class is, let's kind of educate each other. So if you tell me what you need and what's going on, then I will go and I will do my best to make it happen. So, it's going to take time. Everything that changes any kind of social norm or changes people's attitudes takes time. But I'm really pleased that we're moving in a positive direction. And I thought you'd like some of the stuff. I love this stuff. This is the coolest thing. It's like one of those things, and you should just seen the kids playing with it. And it was so awesome because nobody complained. Nobody said, oh, what is this? It was wonderful. So we're going to keep doing it until all the supplies run out.
Luke, any questions or comments?
I think George hit the nail on the head. The work you do is amazing. As someone who's had friends or family who have had discrimination because of who they are, I support that, and it's a big deal for me, so I appreciate your work. And I also appreciate the work we're doing with Narcan and Narxalone. I think most of the board knows I've carried Narcan for the better part of 6 years, so.
Wow, yeah, me
You
too.
know.
I've never used it, knock on wood.
I haven't either, but I've always got it, so I'm glad that we can get it into more people's hands who can, if they need it, they have it, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I know the information is on here. I do want to thank you for this presentation and all the things that you do. There's a lot of things that I really love. I love that you're talking more about the positive, because I do believe that words have a lot of power.
Ton.
And so the more positive we are and the more like positive affirmations, things like that can really flip the switch in the brain. There's a lot of like neurological studies on that too,
Yeah.
so that's really interesting, and I love that. I do love the color therapy, because that's really great for like the focusing and stuff, and because I do more like the natural stuff, I really love this.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to see that. And I know that the instructions are in here, but for the people that may watch,
Okay.
and hopefully will watch, I do have a couple of questions. So when they administer the Narcan, how long does it take effect? Like, how long does it usually take effect?
It takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes to work. It averages, it varies. Sometimes the first dose or two do not work at all, because with the fentanyl and everything that's going around, it's so strong. We've heard as much as 12 doses before somebody came out. So that's a lot. So it's 2 to 3 minutes to work. When I train people, I say, you give them the Narcan, you've already called 911, you've given them the Narcan. If you're comfortable, do rescue breaths. If you're uncomfortable, don't, but just keep giving them the Narcan, and you can give them more. And I say, look, 2 to 3 minutes is going to feel like a lifetime when you're staring at somebody that's not doing well. You don't have to wait the 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to time your watch. Just you keep using the Narcan until the ambulance comes. And when the ambulance comes, tell them, look, I used X amount of doses of Narcan, so that they have an idea of, uh-oh, this really has, and they have their protocols that they go through.
Thank you. And from my understanding, also because I used to work in that field, sometimes when you do use Narcan and they do come up, they can come up swinging. So correct me if I'm wrong, but some can come
Some
up swinging.
do,
So
yeah.
you want to make sure that you are
Yeah.
not too close to the body,
Yeah.
to the person, so that you just be attentive of that as well.
And it's not the Narcan that makes them sometimes combative. And think about that a
It's the
second.
confusion.
So if you're using and you go down and you're out,
Yeah.
and then you wake up and you have all these people around you and you feel sick.
Yeah.
How the hell did I get here? How am I sick? How did I get here? How am I sick? Of course you're going to be like that. We don't hear a lot of that anymore. And I don't know if it's because the fentanyl is so strong. I don't know what it is, but we don't hear it a lot. When people do bring that up, and I don't say that in the training, some people do, because that frightens people, but when people bring it up, we say, just spray, and if you are uncomfortable or you're afraid, then spray it and sit back for a couple, get away from them for 1 second. But it can, because it can instantly put them into sickness.
It's the confusion too. I feel.
And it doesn't always happen, and it's, again, happening less and less, but it can happen.
Great. And then just one last question.
Sure.
In all the trainings that you are doing, is there any talk or education on how nutrition and nutrients and things can also help with that?
Not to that level, but there's a couple of slides, like depending on what the type of training is, but there's a couple slides that we talk about anything that is not making your body work at its ultimum can be a risk factor. And then I go into asthma, diabetes can do it. So then I cover that.
Okay.
If it's a one-on-one training, I usually let them tell me what's going on. So then if somebody brings up something like that, I'll go into detail with that. I've learned kind of the hard way that the more you tell people, the easier it is for them to be confused. So I will let them ask me as many questions as they want. And the formal presentation I have goes through everything like that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right, I know I forgot some things. I hope I see you at the vigil. Love to have you at the vigil. It's a wonderful, this year we're going to have a live band. We're going to do some things differently. We brought in some young blood that's helping me, and they have some great ideas. So we're going to have a live band, and it's going to be wonderful. And it doesn't last very long, but it's a great way to look at the community and be part of the community. We have vendors coming, so it's a wonderful event. Unfortunately, it's a sad event, but it's needed.
Awesome.
Well, excellent, thank you.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
it. Enjoy the goodies. I love these things.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank
Take
you,
care.
everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. So next item on the agenda that we have under new business is Ron Beauregard, Healthy Communities Tobacco Control Officer.
Hi,
How are you?
well, thank you.
Welcome.
Fill this out here,
Yeah.
all right? All right, Ron Beauregard, Tobacco Control Agent for the Health Department here in Tewksbury, as well as in 17 other communities. We work as a collaborative. I work with approximately 350 retailers among those communities. Our focal point is education, especially because Massachusetts has the strongest state tobacco control law in the country. Of course, banning all flavors except in smoking bars. We, as part of that contract, when we have to test how our education has worked, we conduct compliance checks. Compliance checks are affectionately known as stings throughout the community, and particularly among the retail community. I'm proud of over 20 years of building relationships with the retailers. They're selling a product that is legal, but they understand that the product is a product that they have to be very careful about how it is distributed. The focus, perhaps the largest focus, there's a myriad of parts of what's called 105 CMR 665, which is the embodiment of the state law, state regulations. Each of the retailers, when the law came into effect back in June of 2020, perhaps one of the biggest surprises was the requirement that all permit holders need to ID every single customer who wants to purchase a tobacco product, including vape products. We distribute signs, such as this, to try to help the clerks defend themselves in a way if people who might be a little ornery about the idea of being ID'd if they're as old as someone like myself. That training goes a long way, but there's no perfection. The state law surprise also was not only in IDing everyone. Tewksbury was ahead of the game at the time. The old state law used to be 27, that you had to look 27 or over, and then Tewksbury made that move to go to 40, just to give a little more of a buffer zone to ask for ID. The state law again changed it to everyone. So how do you handle that? This sign, training, of course, a busy and difficult workforce situation makes things very difficult for the retailers as well, and I understand that. I think in the future, and I'm sorry for such a long introduction to this, but it gives a background of how I feel about the work I do. I visited an establishment in Westford. I work with Westford. Great owner of this establishment, and I happened to check into the cash register system that they use for purchasing tobacco products as well as beer and wine that they sold. And I was very interested in it because normally when I look at the register systems, it's not a requirement of inspections, but it's just something I feel I'm trying to push to help the system, help the person behind that counter. And his system is set up in such a way that no matter what, in order to purchase a tobacco product, you have to scan the product, which is pretty much common among all of the systems. But the part of the system that I felt amazing is that customer cannot buy the product unless their ID is scanned. The only exception to it is him, the owner. He set it up, and he looked at me and he said, I said, wow, I don't see too many of these systems around. Now I'm looking at them more carefully, meaning to see some who do, and I believe there is one here, at least one in Tewksbury, that does this. So he looked at me and he says, it's all in the privileges. Because I was telling him about all the ones that I see where a button can be pressed to override, and a birth date field can be filled out whatever way is preferred. And of course, some of these things are done not for the purpose of selling to underage. It's a purpose of convenience and to create and some people don't take to getting an ID requirement too kindly. And so it's a legitimate concern. But he said to me, I have it because I can sleep at night. I'll never have to worry about an illegal sale of beer, wine, or tobacco. And so we have an advisory board of our health directors, and we're going to talk a little more about this. There's some pretty novel ideas of policies that are coming out these days about how to handle tobacco sales to youth. But I think this one might be one that could have both the retail community and the boards agree with. So on the day that, if the topic here, and one last thing I think I want to say is I skipped it, but the other major change, and big change for me, is previously when we did the compliance checks, they were all $100, $200, and $300 fines for a first, second, and third violation. Second and third violations would also be connected to a suspension of a tobacco product sales permit. The state law changed things dramatically. It wasn't from any input from Tewksbury or Billerica or Haverhill or Methuen or any of my other communities, but it was done, and they changed it to $1,000, $2,000, and $5,000 for first, second, and third offenses. And they keep not too unusual, I think Tewksbury already had this, but there's a 3-year window, so to speak. They call it a tolling period, but it kind of is my way of explaining to the retailers that it sticks with you for 3 years. So it'll always be one that now you're set up, so to speak, for a second and third. So you got to wait 3 years before it disappears. So that's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. It's a tough one for the retailers. I have now, it's nothing I'm proud of at all, but I've issued now, probably in just less than 2 years, over $60,000 worth of fines. It's a heavy weight on the shoulders, because I know it impacts the retailers heavily. However, all of the fines, and again, I'm sorry for going on a little while, it's
No,
just
keep
because
going.
I won't repeat myself for every, I know there's 3 retailers coming in to communicate with the board, but everyone that's advising us, meaning the boards of health, I'm one of about 18 to 20 programs. Some have big communities, some have a collaborative like myself. Often the question that comes up, understandably, is if there is an appeal, what is the subject of the appeal, and does the board have the
Discretion.
that's the word, discretion, to modify the fine? We rely heavily on the attorneys and other technical advisors from the Mass Association of Health Boards, the Mass Health Officers Association, and the Mass Municipal Association. And all 3 entities have instructed us that the only subject to an appeal is whether or not the transaction, the sale, occurred, not the modification of the fine. I say this up front because it's a difficult thing for everyone, I think. So, in any event, so in this case here, I want to let you know that in Tewksbury, we conducted compliance checks as part of our contractual obligation with the state, and we,
Ron, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
I should look at it, but what I just wanted to know, because of the changes that the state did regarding things like the funds, what I'm wondering, since you mentioned that, any changes to the discretion that the board has on a penalty as shutting down for a certain amount of days or time?
Okay, the answer to that question, there's actually something that each board has to, of course, let me start out by telling you that the 105 CMR has the language in it that says it's, for a first offense, $1,000 and a suspension for at least 1 day. Now, I'm giving you that language, I have the breaks here, but I'm just going to tell you what that meant. It was interesting. When we sent out all of our education in 2020, 21, I made, much to the chagrin of the state, I held back as much as I could. We had this little thing called COVID going on at the time, and even after, post-COVID or early post-COVID, I had no appetite to be, I was holding off doing the stings, basically, holding off doing compliance checks, because I hired staff to help me, independent contractors. I needed to get the information out, get as many signs up, do what we could. The $1,000 fine is so substantial that some boards have regarded anything more as, I don't know, perhaps salt in the wound. I'm sorry, I don't, the answer to your question in regards to the modification ability for suspension amount on second and third offense, one thing I didn't bring tonight is your regulations, your local regulations, because you incorporated the state law into your local regulations.
We can bring it up, but I
And the
just
word,
wanted,
yeah, and the word I'm trying to look for, and the key word that I'm just trying to think of, whether you have a may or a shall in your regs. You have one or the other. And I'd be honest with you, I can't recall what yours is. I don't know.
we discussed it. I know we discussed the may and the shall.
Yeah, there's a may and shall, and so they'll tell you that.
You're looking it up, okay, thank
But
you.
one thing that's true is the shall for the fines. So what we did, the fiscal year began on July 1st, and we began to do some compliance checks among our communities. And we visited Tewksbury on July 16th, July 23rd, and August 1st. We conducted 28 compliance checks, and we had 3 sales, which is an 11% sales rate, which is, a double what our average is. Usually it evens out to somewhere around 5%, which, by the way, I'll go back real quick, what I'm looking forward to I'm getting on in my years, so, limited time, so I got to try to figure out what my end game is with this work. I want to see some big zeros and ones. 1 out of 100, 0 maybe. And I think that can happen with that if it was a mandatory ID scanning. And I think we could have a leveler play. I know it's an investment for the retailers, but the gentleman that I talked to, he said it was about $1,500 a machine with a $50 service. For most businesses, I know some would struggle with that, but perhaps maybe a way to get that level playing field, so people aren't getting upset with one retailer who might follow the law strictly and others that don't. So we had those 3, and I know they're here, and I could go, I think perhaps maybe the best thing is just let me know which one we're hearing first. I know one is a hearing for an appeal, and the others are here for purposes of your local regulations that just allows them to provide a statement of how they'll take remedial action in the future.
Does the board have any thoughts on the process, or just go in order?
Hearing last.
Okay. Everyone approved?
Look, I'm in support of that.
It's good. That'll probably take a little more time if people want to
Yeah,
get
that's
out.
true.
That's the way they can get
I
out.
like that. Okay, so we'll do the hearing last,
Okay.
and then the other 2 can come first.
All right. Was there one particular, there's 2 here. Perhaps the
At your discretion.
the tobacconist, perhaps?
Sure.
Someone that-
Okay.
Tobacconist, so, no, that's okay. Yeah, the tobacconist, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, is there someone here?
So is someone here from the tobacconist?
Oh,
If you'd like to come forward, please. Thank you.
how are you?
And then I'll just have you state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Neetal Shah. I'm from Tobacconist. I live in, my store is on 1875 Main Street at Tewksbury.
Thank you.
If you could just sign in too, please.
Sure.
So, you're here due to the sale in person under age of 21, correct?
Yes.
You do understand that? Okay, can you kind of go over what occurred, how it happened?
So actually on that day, I was not there. My employee was there. My only thing is that, okay, sale happened and violation was done. I was not handed the ticket on the same day. Why is that so?
Yeah.
Like, I sold it to right now. You send it, you should have come and told me, like, you should have told my employee that this has happened. I would have rectified. I came to know after 20 days that I also got a ticket because I got a email from Miss Lisa Hatch that I am there coming for the hearing. So after 20 days, I'm still keeping I still kept the employee on my payroll. I would have fired her right there and then. I know violation happened, and it is wrong on my end. My only question is, why didn't you hand it the ticket right at that same time, on same day? It was mailed to me. To be honest, I really don't check mail because 99% I get all the junk mail in my mailbox.
Right,
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
can
can-
I can
go ahead.
respond.
Yeah.
I
Ron,
just
can you
want-
pull your mic just a little closer?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. First of all, I'm sorry this happened.
Yeah.
This issue in regards to providing a immediate distribution of the correction order or the ticket, this was done in this case here. Sometimes there are other agencies, the Food and Drug Administration is one agency that does not, and I've heard that feedback from them. I can give you my account of what happened because I was there, and I did see the individual come into the establishment, and I did go into the establishment approximately 10 to 15 minutes after the occurrence occurred. I spoke with Megan.
Yeah.
I explained why I was there. I handed her the correction order.
Okay.
And and the reason why we I tried to send
No,
a follow.
letter is fine. I'm fine
I
with
tried to
it.
send them, I think you got it regular mailed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this one wasn't accepted a few times, but this is the follow-up letter
Yeah.
that I sent, let's see, on the 24th, so the day after. So there must have been a miscommunication.
Yes, okay.
And I believe the frustration that you had with that belief, and I didn't realize that. But I want to assure you that I did go in,
Okay.
and I feel it's important to do so.
But I'm sorry for that. I should,
And you don't need to write that now. It just,
no, I will hand over the check. I mean,
well, it's a city clerk. all right?
Yeah.
And we have been in this business for a long time.
yeah, because like last 4 years, when was my last ticket, if you remember?
I don't remember.
Almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because before that, my dad used to sit, he was old, so he would make a mistake, I can understand.
Yes, I remember.
Since then, like, my dad got retired, and then we had been very diligent in checking the IDs and everything. But sometimes employees do it, they really don't pay much attention.
What do you think of that system that I was talking about? Have you looked into anything like that, or would that be a problem? You mean,
That
like,
system is like $3,000 plus a monthly fee.
It's going to be $3,000.
Yeah, plus they are asking around $250 to $300 per month. So for a small business, it's too much.
If I could, maybe because I don't want to mention his name here, can I just take 1 minute and talk to Mr. Shah?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Let me just go inside here, don't worry about that.
So, oh yeah.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I'll ask you if I can speak. I'm sorry, I should do that.
It's okay.
Brandon.
So as I talked to Ron, we will try to implement a system based, it is affordable. Because last time I checked, because those systems were mostly made for the liquor store, which they can afford it easily, because $1 million store and $80,000 store is a difference between the liquor store and non-liquor store. So they can afford that kind of system. I had been trying to get that system for quite some time, but I was like, okay, charge me one time and then no recurring fee. But recurring fee comes out to like $3,000-4,000 a year, which is too much.
But in our conversation, we're going to, just talk to him.
I'll talk to that
him, 'cause
person.
He'll give you the
Okay.
contact. You get nothing to lose, but
Yeah.
just check.
Okay.
Thanks,
So-
Mr. Shah.
The point of coming in front of the board is really to ensure that this doesn't occur again. Because
Yeah.
obviously, there's the state that we cannot do anything about technically
Yeah.
due to it being a state mandate.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be, do you have the signages, like to have the check
Yes.
IDs? Okay.
I mean, you enter, there is a signage, under 21 not allowed, period.
And your employee that did
Yeah.
this, was he or she aware of?
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes, like, she was going through some personal crisis at that time, so she must have missed it. But I will rectify that thing, that it should not happen in future.
Okay. And all your employees are?
Yeah. Mostly, I have a temporary employee right now. I'm the one who is sitting at the store.
Okay.
So I am very diligent in that.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
No, I don't, I do for Ron, but,
Okay, you can,
Ron,
George, Mike.
oh, your mic.
Ron, my question is, are you going to, any of that paperwork, are you going to give to the department? The reason why I say that is I'm concerned about the green that was not signed when they were delivered. Is that because somebody didn't want to sign them?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's more speculative on my part. I know we send these first-class postage and certified mail. So Mr. Shaw, acknowledged that he did receive the letter.
I mean, I did see the letter, but very late. When I got an email from Lisa, from the health department, that's when I came to know, like, why am I attending a meeting? And then I saw, like, I also got the ticket on the same day. The other guys got it in the email. So that's when I like, why haven't when I tried to check the video, but it was already a month old. So it's like, it stores up to 20 days. After that, like, my system, camera system does not hold any more videos.
I think this is the first time that this has occurred, because what can happen, and that's why we send the follow-up letter, is that, sometimes perhaps an employee that made the sale doesn't communicate that occurred.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay?
that's
So
what same
if there's
happened to me.
If there's another address, I don't know whether you have another address on file, but perhaps in the future, if we don't want a future
No.
with you, but if
No,
there's
that's
another
No, but
contact,
no, but the whole thing is we need a system, is all I'm saying.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a hard guy, I used to be a union rep, I'm not trying to be his lawyer. But I just wanted to ask that question.
Yeah.
If somebody refused to sign it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we do need a plan of how this, like, how you perceive to avoid this again.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan in action? And what is that plan?
Yeah, I mean, when we hire, we inform our employees that we have to check the IDs all the time. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, mostly what happens, we have the repeat customer who are regular customer to us, whose ID we know. We know them by the first name. So we don't check their ID because they are coming on a regular basis. But any new customers, any new faces who enters the store, we do check the ID. And we will be more diligent on that. I myself is trying to develop a software to scan the driving license.
And do you have, you're developing it or have?
No, I'm trying to develop it. I'm in what you call on a grassroots level yet. I'm working out the kinks on the things. I'm not a programmer, but I like to tinker with the computer, so I'm trying to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with your new employees or anyone else other than yourself, what is your plan to prevent this?
Education, educate them. That's the one thing I can do. And we do that. But sometimes, as I told you, my employee was going through some personal crisis. That's one of the reason it missed. But now I even check the video cameras on a regular basis that if how is she performing with the customers.
Okay. Comments?
I'm good.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in.
Sure.
And I hope not to see you again.
Not in this
I'll send the
context.
check, yeah.
Not in this atmosphere.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming up front.
Thank you,
Appreciate
madam.
it.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have
And then the
to do anything, right? We just ask them.
No, it's not.
All right.
other two mobiles, 2 Main Street.
Elks Fuel Inc.
Elks, right? Okay.
Elks, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Elks. If you could just state your name and your address and then write that down as well.
Yep, my name is Joseph El-Khoury. The address of the station is 2 Main Street, Tewksbury.
Okay. And so the violation occurred on July 23rd, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Can you provide some information on what occurred?
Yes, so my understanding of it, so I guess for some background, I'm one of the general managers over there. We had an employee cashier who had sold tobacco to someone who was underage. I guess our store manager had found out about it. I didn't find out about it personally until a few days ago. So this was another case where when it happened, the employees tried to kind of make sure, or they tried to make sure we didn't find out about it. But yeah, that's my understanding of the situation. Is,
Okay.
yeah, the employee no longer works for us. I believe they left like on their own accord.
Okay. And what do you have in effect currently to prevent this, and what changes are you going to be implementing?
Yeah, so I'm glad, Ron, you explained the, I guess, the permissions in the register system. So we've updated our registers to make sure that no sale of any restricted product can go through unless an ID is scanned.
That's great.
We know that we've done that in the past at another site, and we know that we will sometimes lose some customers that get frustrated. There's the 80, 90-year-old regulars that come in and get frustrated with having to show ID. But it's a price to pay to make sure that we're as safe as possible and we're sticking to the regulations that we need to. We also have a restricted sales agreement that each new employee will have to sign, stating that they will not sell any tobacco or alcohol or any other restricted items knowingly. I do have a copy of that here. I didn't anticipate being in front of so many people, so I only have one copy. And also, we added a bit in our handbook as well, our employee handbook, that they all have to sign when they're being onboarded, which states that they shouldn't willingly sell any restricted products to someone who's underage. On top of that, something that we are in the process of implementing is we're working on our training systems to make sure, so obviously, I mean, if this worked and having the restricted sales agreements worked all the time, that would be great, but people forget what's in the handbook, they forget what's in the agreements. So we're working on a system to track when our employees go through certain trainings and making sure they go through a training on restricted sales items either every 6 months or every year, whatever we find to be appropriate.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
No, I just say thank you very much for doing what you do.
No, I like that. I do like the letter and having them sign. And I do agree that sometimes people forget about their agreements, so having the reminders, yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
thank you for that. That's thorough.
I just wanted to ask, do you have a general timeline on when you put the card scanners in?
They're already in. So
Already in,
we.
But it was after this incident.
Yes, so I know we're
I don't need
talking,
a date, just, you know.
oh, yeah, no, I know we were talking a little bit about, like, the pricing and stuff. We did have to upgrade our scanners. They were a bit costly, definitely not, I think it was around $1,000 or something like that for 2 scanners, which, yeah, it's price of doing business, I guess, the price to pay to make sure that we're within regulations.
Well, it's cheaper than getting another fine, that's for sure.
Exactly, yeah, that's how I
For
look at it.
sure. Yes. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming forward. And again, we hope that not to see you in front of the board for this.
Likewise.
So, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, needed to finish this.
No worries.
Ron, did you have any comment on this incident?
No,
Great.
thank you. I say thank you as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Joseph.
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Yeah, thanks.
So then that leaves us with
Petrol.
a 365 Patrol.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes. If you could just state your name and your address. I believe so, yes. All right, so this is the motion, correct? I mean, the hearing? Okay.
Yes.
So for that, can I hear a motion to open the hearing portion of the meeting?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? I hear none. So that has gone through. We're good. So we can start.
My name is Vivek Bhanushali. I'm from 365 Main Street, Petro Oil. And
I'll just mention what happened on my end real quickly. I usually keep notes. So we, did the same compliance checks. Went into your store and talked to a very kind gentleman to let him know that there was a sale that did occur within, again, 10 to 15 minutes after. He, I think, explained that he was, I think it was it Kurti?
Kurti, yeah.
Kurti,
Yep.
Kurti, yeah. So I spoke with him. And I think, if I remember correctly, I talked to Ronka? Is it Ronka?
Ron.
Ronnie?
Ronnie.
But is it Ronka?
Ronak, his name.
Ronak, I'm sorry, Ronak. I
Yep.
apologize. My name's Ronald, so when you said Ronnie, I thought
yeah.
of my own name. Some people call me Ronnie. I guess there was you'll probably be explaining, the person that was there just temporarily, right?
It was just for like a day because I had to run to the bank.
All right, so you can explain this part. I just wanted to set the stage, so to speak.
So I'm the manager. I run the place. And I do the banking and everything from top to the bottom. So I needed somebody for an hour. I called my father to help me out. And within an hour, he got a ticket because of selling tobacco. So the guy who came in, he confused him so much that he got like 4 different products. Then after that, from that product, he got 1 product. That, I want to buy a 2-pack. He asked for a Juul. First he asked for a device, then he asked for a 4-pack, then he asked for another Juul device. Then he goes, in that between confusion, he forgot to ask for an ID. And he was not trained. He was just there for like not less than an hour. I go to TD Bank right opposite the town hall. And it took me like 25-30 minutes. And within that time period, this happened. And I'm the only one responsible to pay the ticket, and it takes 2 weeks to make $1,000. So
Well, and my only response to that is of course, I wasn't there in the store at the moment. I was told by the student that he asked for the 2-pack, which kept in here. I'm sorry if there was confusion, if he perhaps asked
I
for a
don't know if
device
they are
as well.
trained that way to
Yeah.
just confuse somebody to
Wasn't
forget.
done, wasn't done with an intent to, if it happened, which I don't believe it did, but if it did,
No,
it was
at that time, I
definitely.
was at TD Bank, I can
Yeah.
get the cameras from
Right.
there.
Oh, that's great, yeah, maybe, I think Dad was very soft-spoken, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Very kind, sounded like a very kind man. I don't really have any other notes to indicate confusion, but at least you saw what occurred.
Yes.
The only other response I can make in regard to the financial impact is we have been told by the state that while the boards don't have that discretion to reduce the fine, they could put out, you said that's 2 months, right? Or
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
For me to make that, yeah.
So extensions, I guess is what I'm saying, a month, 2 months, 3 months or more, if that is helpful.
You're saying to make the payment,
That's right.
correct? I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Can I ask, are you the owner or are you the manager?
No, I work there.
Okay, you're just, okay. Next, okay, because I was just going to ask, because I know the other folks that came in and how long they've been there. I just wanted to ask, I don't need to know how long you've been there. I was just wondering if you were the owner. Thank you.
No.
So you're the manager, not the owner, correct? Okay. And are there other employees that work there?
Yes.
Okay. And on that day, there was no one else?
No.
Just you?
The
Is it
guy
usually just
called
one?
out.
Is it
No,
usually
there
just?
is usually 2 who comes in the morning, and there is a guy who does the counter. I do the paperwork and go to the bank and stuff like that, but the guy called out, and with the store policy, I have to be at the bank before 12 o'clock, do the next day deposit.
Okay. And your father is not an employee?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm concerned about what the business feels about having a non-employee sell items that require regulation.
They talk to me about this, but with the bank stuff, they don't have exemption like they have. If I get fired, if I have the deposit after 12 o'clock, if I have the deposit in the store, the district manager comes in and
Right.
takes my job away. They have a policy that the money should be in the bank before 12 o'clock.
No, I understand that. My concern is that they
Yeah.
care more about their banking than they do about following the law. And in this case, they got fined for it.
Yes, no, they have the policy that anything you sell or anything you do, it's on you. I'm the one who have to educate everybody and give them the training so not to sell it. But that was my bad luck or something, I don't know.
So are you considered the manager of the store?
Yes,
Franchise.
Let me ask, how long you been the manager?
6 months.
Thank you.
Has this ever happened before where you needed to leave and you had someone else
No,
come in? This
no.
was the first time?
Yeah, the guy called out.
Okay.
It don't happen.
So what is usually the policy if someone does call out in that instance? So for this instance, does Petrol or do you guys in your,
The district manager comes in, but that day he was not available.
so no one was available?
No one was available, so my father was around and I had to call him in. I was like, just,
Because, yeah, I'm concerned as well about the, having a non-employee coming in, but also the company, like, not having something as not having a policy in place that if there isn't anybody there and you have to leave the store because that's their policy to get the money into the bank at a certain time, but there's no one else to cover you, there should be some type of policy.
I have to
And
fire
this is
the
just me,
employee.
like, out of the, you know,
No,
not,
I
and
have
this
to
is not a
fire the
tobacco
employee.
thing,
Yeah.
but some type of policy. So I guess my next question would be like, what are you planning on doing moving forward so this doesn't happen again, so that if you do have to leave, that, and there's no one there to cover?
I'm not working there after 2 months. I gave them the notice. Because I have to pay this from my pocket, and I cannot get a hold of the employees that can work right. So,
Did I hear that
Yeah.
correctly? They're making you pay the fine?
yes.
Okay. I don't even know if that's legal.
Did you, is there something that you signed? That
Yes.
says that you are responsible to
Responsible.
pay?
Mhm.
Do you have a copy of that?
At home.
Okay.
Were you aware of this?
Oh, no, I mean, it's a corporation, right? The business is a
Yeah.
corporation,
Yeah.
so, I mean, the entity is responsible is the corporation in this case. That would be the individual, the corporation. Now, I have,
Individual like him?
The owner,
No,
the corporate, the business itself.
The business itself?
the
Patrol.
business, yeah. But, you know, over the years, it's not I don't know the legalities of, you know, of an employer requiring their employees to pay as a condition of their employment. I don't know the answer to that. I know that this has occurred in some cases, not with this large fine, but that's a whole area that I'm just not familiar with.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, if that's ever happened before. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a few cases come to mind where the employer wanted to have the person who actually sold contribute to the fine payment. This issue came up in the past where this was many years ago, probably a dozen plus years ago, where many of the owners wanted, we had a hearing, and many of the, not here, but another town, and they wanted us to issue a fine to the employee who sold as well as to the employer, because the employers were claiming that they've done everything they could. There should be some personal responsibility for the person who sold. And I think the case may be true in New Hampshire, and there's some sort of serious rules in New Hampshire where I've heard of clerks having to go to court, you know. But that's not, we're not police, you know, we're not going to go in.
I was just wondering if you
do that sort
were
of thing.
aware of that happening, because my concern is, okay, you gave your notice and now someone else comes in and this occurs again under patrol, but someone new, and so what's the process? So like if I ask him what the plan is, do you have a plan for the next
Can I
2
jump in,
months?
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Well, there's a name of the principal of the corporation, and perhaps we could have a continuation and have that principal come in.
Well,
Yeah.
you know that's what I'm
So
looking at.
my thing is, if this is a fine toward a business entity, an individual who doesn't own that entity can't pay that fine, first off, especially if we don't have any paperwork that says they're responsible for said fine. I believe this needs to be tabled, pushed to next meeting, and we need that owner to come in,
Yeah.
or the district manager, if that's who they deem responsible for those matters.
Do we have, to the chair, do we have any questions for Ron on anything about the issue? Because I would like to have a moment of talking, basically discussing what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
That's what a hearing is. I mean, they say their thing and then we
We
decide.
can talk,
We
yeah.
convene.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to?
No, I feel comfortable with that because it's not fair to you. A hearing is supposed to be among the principal, the owner, And it would be much more equitable for your sake. for the
Sad to say that the owner passed away like two weeks ago.
This, wait a minute, I'm so sorry, I can't, I usually have gotten better with pronunciation. Is this individual here? Sorry, I'm just, is that the person?
Yeah, he passed away.
He just
2 weeks away.
He's passed away 2 weeks ago?
In Greece.
In Greece. So the principle that we have on file, it's funny because this one here is signed, this was like a statement that said, I understand you got ID everyone and that sort of thing, and this is in 2020. But then we also have on file at the Health Department, this is what I spoke with Lisa about, Shannon. There's one dated as recently as 23, I think, when there was a renewal. So, do they own any other stores?
They own
Several? Which
all
one?
the petrols, 1220, 1992.
Oh, they
They
wait a minute, those were
took
just,
over the company about.
Yeah, the company took over. The lease got,
because I met,
Just tell you.
so those were taken over though, right? Those were taken over. I want to say Brenda, but hold on. I just want to be sure I have the right folks. She was really cooperative, I
You have a
saw.
lot of work on your hands, Ron.
So, yeah, I would like to, let's discuss, I feel like,
Well, I don't think we can discuss, not publicly, so.
no, we're public.
A
Yeah.
motion to continue.
Yeah, so a motion to continue this,
I
yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to first make a motion that that we can push this like 3 months. Meaning, not for somebody to come in, but for him, he shouldn't have to pay that.
Well, yeah, that's where I believe, so,
I mean, I'm not saying he
I
shouldn't
want
pay it all,
time-
but I'm saying if he does, he should have time to do it.
I want time to check our bylaws, and I
Okay.
think we should run this by Richard.
Okay.
yes,
All right.
I agree.
Besides that, I don't feel comfortable right now finding an employee for the actions and missteps of a business.
Correct.
I think we should extend the fine for 2 months and require the principal of this business to come in next meeting.
Well, it's not a motion, but what I'd like to, I think we're totally on the same page.
You got to speak into the mic.
I think we're totally in the same page. Since the person, if they died, right, then you're going to have what, somebody else that's just taken over?
There's a new
So
principal,
this is
yeah.
what I'm asking. What do you think about requiring the regional person to come here? Because,
Well, so
I'm just
when,
asking.
In the next.
when a business is fined, if the business itself can't furnish the fine, then it falls on the owner. So I want the owner here, because if the hearing ends up where they're responsible for it, then he's going to have to be the one who has to.
I'm just playing devil's advocate that.
I hear you, yeah.
No, that what they're going to end up saying is I wasn't the owner when it happened.
They're the owner now, the fine is to the business.
No, I got you.
No, yeah,
I'm in total agreement.
Then that's where we
Yeah,
get
I'm-
They're welcome
I'm in
to-
total
they're welcome
agreement.
to
The
have
other
that.
thing I just want to mention is I would like our other two members that aren't here to be able to be part of understanding
I'd like
what's
their
going
input as
on.
well.
That would be-
So
that
do
would
I
be good
hear a
too.
motion to post, so,
I'd like to make 2 motions.
Yes.
I'll do the first one first. I'd like to push the extension for this 2 months.
I'll second that.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Anyone opposed? That's unanimous. So all are in favor, that passes. So we are extending it for 2 months.
Okay.
And
I'd like to make a second motion
then, yeah.
that this hearing be pushed to next meeting and require, and us require the principal to come and discuss this as well. They're welcome to bring their district manager as well, but I'm asking for the
Yeah,
principal.
Can we ask them if they would like to bring a representative with them, meaning a lawyer?
They're welcome to.
That doesn't,
That's not our call.
yeah, that's not our fault.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
They're welcome.
No, I'm saying if they,
Yeah.
I was only saying that because they may not want to show up.
Yeah.
They can do that on their own, yeah.
You want somebody here, is
That's-
what I'm saying.
Someone represent, the owner, whatever, that is legally, yes, so. I hear a motion for that. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion has been put forward and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye as well. Anyone opposed? No. So that motion to have on the next meeting a hearing with the owner or principal of Patrol to bring forward in front of the board on this matter. Okay, and now we'll make a motion to
Adjourn?
close the
And close the,
hearing
I don't know if close is the right word.
or end.
Continue. Isn't it already continued?
We'll allow the hearing to have a continuance to next meeting.
Yes.
I'll
Close it.
second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. None opposed. That motion passes. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you,
welcome.
Ron. I appreciate it.
It's always nice to see you.
I have one question. Okay. I have one question. I'll talk to, basically, my question is Stop and Shop.
George, that's not on the agenda. We can't.
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, sorry.
We'll reach out to you later.
Okay, all right.
Quick, run.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
You're getting ahead of yourself, George.
Yes.
You're just, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, thank you.
Reports.
Yes, next on the agenda, reports. So Health Department reports. Shannon.
So mosquitoes are still a risk, even though the temperatures are cooling down. Until there's a frost is when they'll really die off. Tewksbury's levels for West Nile and Tripoli haven't changed in the month, but there are some higher risk communities around us, and as we know, mosquitoes don't really have boundaries, so the best protection is to protect yourself between dusk and dawn, really all day long with long sleeves and pants, and wear a DEET repellent. Central Mass Mosquito is still monitoring for mosquitoes in Tewksbury. However, they are not responding to spray residents' yards anymore. That has stopped as of Labor Day. Any questions on that?
Nope.
For the food consultant updates, pretty much status quo with Jimbo's and Hunan Wok. Both of their consultants have submitted reports. They're doing well. Capellini's did have a consultant go in and do like an initial inspection. So they're going to be continuing working with them for 6 months and go in twice a month unannounced. And then they'll send me those reports. They also had 2 additional staff get ServSafe certified, which is definitely needed. And then we did order more COVID tests. It seems that there's a uptick in COVID cases, so we will have some COVID tests until supplies run out. And that's all I
How can
have.
people get those?
You can just come down to the health department and they're right at the desk.
Great.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Nope.
So subcommittee reports, there are none currently. And then the old business, so microblading updates.
Yes, so last meeting we tabled so that the board members could discuss some of the language and read it over. We had a couple clarifications that we wanted to do for which specific licensing and certificates people needed, and at what point and how many they'd require. So Susan's obviously out this week. Susan and I have been going over that, and we'll have that for next meeting so we can have a vote on it. So we'll put that on the actual agenda as its own item.
Awesome. Okay. Great. Any board member comments, concerns, outbursts?
I'm happy.
Okay. And if there's any future agenda items, this would be the time to discuss or think?
Yeah, we're going to put microblading on a future agenda.
Okay. All right, perfect. So that would be all on the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor to adjourn the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, none opposed. It is 7:24. Good night, Tewksbury. Thank you for your time. Have a great night.